Hang on just a second, guys. There we go. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have some survival tips and some more information for you guys. So if you guys are new to my channel, haven't yet got a chance to get subscribed, go ahead and subscribe for more content. Be sure to turn on your bell notifications so therefore you won't miss any news here on the channel. And for those of you who are just tuning in, it says, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, my live chats are in fact open for anyone who'd like to participate. And if this is your first time and you do pop in, please be respectful to myself, my moderators, and all my other viewers out here on the channel. No negativity will be tolerated at all on this channel or during this live stream. So with that being said, hey, what's up, man? No, I don't have my coffee today, guys. I had that earlier, as a matter of fact. So for today's, I don't know why the hell I just grabbed that. For today's live stream, guys, I just noticed that Robert just popped in. I'm going to be doing some survival tips. There will be no PSAs today. I'm probably going to do those probably sometime Tuesday. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive on into it. So right now I just don't have a aluminum cap for a glass bottle. That's the only thing I'm lacking. So first thing you're going to want to do, if you don't have access to candles, you have string, cooking oil, and if you have access to the small aluminum caps for like glass bottles and stuff like that, you're going to need those. So anyway, so what you're going to do, what you're going to need is you're going to need a jar like this, a glass beer bottle cap, but make sure that it's aluminum. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the lid off the jar in dead center. You're going to punch a hole through it. And the same thing with the beer cap. You're going to be popping the cap off that. You put that cap like right in the middle. Make sure that you have something to anchor it down with. And you're going to need some string. Preferably some very thick string. Oh, excuse me. And what you're going to do is you can probably take that string, you're going to fold it, you're going to fold it again. Make sure that when you do punch the hole through the lids, make sure that those lids are not too big because you want your string to be snug. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep folding it until you actually have the length, and you're going to run one end, or you run all those ends through there, and you're going to pull it through the bottom. Then what you're going to need is you're going to need some cooking oil. You can fill it up to about roughly right around half. Make sure that you get some of that oil on there too. And let your string sit there for a bit. And whatever type of adhesive you guys are using, I would probably recommend using some type of real solid glue, like super glue or something like that. You guys can have to glue the beer cap to here, but make sure, like I said, make sure that you have holes punched in both of those lids, and make sure that you line that up just right. for this to work. And so then when you get done with that, I would probably recommend filling it up to about here. Because if you actually fill something like that up to about here, once you run that string all the way down at the bottom, you're probably going to want to turn your jaw upside down for a bit, let some of that oil run down, and then just dip that back over, let it sit for a bit. And to top that off, you're going to need a lighter, and you just light your wick, and that will actually burn for hours on end. So always keep in mind that your type of cooking oil can also be your best friend. I've had my coffee earlier. I had that like a few hours before I started my live stream. So anyway, guys, you can basically turn a jar, cooking oil, and some string into either a heating element or a lighting element for the house. So if your whole entire house is basically, say for instance, if you're in the house, you're in a bad storm, your power goes out, these actually do serve a purpose besides drinking out of. So then therefore, when you do happen to set it down, you can watch the oil level over a period of time start to decrease. So what that oil will actually do, so basically what I'm saying is this will actually burn like a candle, but it will last about 4 to 10 times longer, roughly abroad. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about what I just mentioned, let me know in the chats. Let me know what your thoughts are. If there's something I can assist you guys with, fantastic. I will definitely do my best to answer you guys' questions the best way I know how. But always make sure that if you do have something like that going and you do have that lit, make sure that it's sitting in a place where you're not going to bump into it or anything like that. And make sure that there's nothing above that will actually catch fire. And also, as a legal disclaimer, I bear no responsibility for any type of illegal actions pertaining to what I've mentioned here on the live stream, guys. Well, right now I just don't have the essential materials to make one here on the channel. But like I said, this actually you'll need some real good thick string, something that's loose but not extremely tight. This is kind of like, I'd say, kind of like a mediocre type string. You don't want something way too thick. You don't want something way too thin. You want something like right in the middle. So when you fold all that over, you just push that through both of those caps. You pull it straight through to the bottom. It should be snug enough where you don't need to tie a knot at the very top. That's what you're looking for. Ooh. You guys can keep all that garbage. I've seen enough of that. I've seen enough of that in my lifetime. I don't need to see any more of it. But anyway, guys, like I said, this live stream video does in fact help you guys out quite a bit, and you seem to learn a lot from it. And you find this live stream to be very beneficial. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, smash the heart button. And if you guys would like to, you guys are more than welcome to share the live out as well. And therefore, like I said, prior to this, when you guys actually, you guys hit that thumbs up, that actually does go to help support the channel as well. And that also does go to help me out on top of that. So basically, there's a lot of things that I would like to try to cover tonight. And you guys did say something about survival, so there you go. So if you guys are just into it because of educational purposes, that's totally understandable as well. But if you guys are survival enthusiasts, well, this live stream is for you as well. So hopefully, like I said, this does actually help you guys out quite a bit. I hope you hope you learned a lot from this. But if and when I'm able to get the essential materials that I'm going to need to make this, I will definitely do that, and I will show a live demonstration, possibly on my YouTube channel. And just for the records, if I happen to show this on my live stream, this will be strictly for educational purposes only. This is not going to be used for everyday common use. So if you guys have questions or anything to that sort of nature, let me know in the chats. I know, right? So, and also, one more thing. For a heating element, you're going to need a tin can, a roll of toilet paper, some rubbing alcohol. But before you submerge the toilet paper into the whole roll of toilet paper, before you submerge that into the can, you're going to want to take out that piece of cardboard in the middle. And so once you remove that, you can actually take that and push that down into the can, push it all the way down to the very bottom to where it sits flush to the bottom. And you can take some rubbing alcohol, pour it over the top of it, 50% alcohol, or that's probably what I would recommend. I would not recommend anything higher than that, but if you do happen to use something higher than 50%, just a little advice from the wise, the higher the alcohol content within rubbing alcohol will actually burn hotter. So if you guys have something like right around 50% alcohol, that's basically what I would probably use. I mean, any type of rubbing alcohol is sufficient enough to do the job. So if you guys want a heating element, if you guys are out camping and it's a little chilly out, you guys want to try to stay warm, use that can. Make sure that you have something solid underneath it to avoid any type of fires. So you're probably going to want to pour the rubbing alcohol in there slowly on the very top. Just coat the whole entire thing of toilet paper. And make sure that you have a cap that's actually bigger than the can. So if you have any type of tin can for like, well, it doesn't matter what type of can you use, from any type of canned good, always make sure that you have a bigger lid to put over the top of it to snuff out the fire. But like I said, if you use rubbing alcohol, if you use cooking oil in a glass jar and you follow the steps promptly, that's pretty much straightforward. So if you follow those prompts there, you guys have just actually you guys have just created a lighting source that will last long, about four, like I said, for approximately around 4 to 10 times longer than a candle. So there you have it. And if there's something that you think that I may have been leaving out of the equation, let me know in the chats, and I will do my best to cover that as well. So, yeah, I got those. I just haven't had a chance to review those, and I'm not going to do any the PSAs today. I'm probably going to set that off for a later date. But if you want to mention that to people in the chats, you're more than welcome to. But right now, I just don't have everything prepped and set up for that. So I'm gonna have to set that off for another live stream. But thank you. Anyway, but I greatly do appreciate the recall information. Thank you so much. So hell is Thursday. I think what I'll probably do is I might do that on Saturday's live stream, so therefore I can get everything set up, prepped, and ready to go. So I only get set and prep for a live stream on the days that I usually do go live. Fantastic. So, like I said, guys, if you guys want a lighting element, that's one thing. If you guys want a heating element, now you guys have the best of both worlds. So, and the reason why I say always keep a bigger lid with you, you don't actually have to cut the top of the can off. You can actually cut down both, basically make a cross pattern on the top, and just take those um, take those 4 pieces, push them down inside of the can. But if you want to pull those up, you can flip those up. I'll flip them up like this on all sides. You can actually set a skillet or a pan right on top of that, and you can actually cook just off of that can with the rubbing alcohol in it. So that doesn't only just serve one purpose, that serves several. You can actually use that can with the toilet paper in it, with the rubbing alcohol coating it. You can actually use that as a cooking source as well. Now, if you guys are camping like in the middle of winter or something like that, you can take that hot water, you can probably take most of your, not boiling hot water, but just make sure that the water's hot enough. You can pour the water into the jar, another jar, and set those down inside of your boots. And that right there will actually keep it cold. Before you do that, another thing, take some of those hand warmers, bust a few of those, or open the packets up, shove those down into like the toe part of your boots where your toes are, and then just set that jar down inside there. So then, therefore, when you take everything out, you go to put your boots on, your feet will stay nice and warm. So I'm not exactly sure how long that will actually last, but it's best to keep your feet warm, as well as keeping your feet dry too. So that right there will actually help prevent getting frostbite, depending on how cold it is, depending on how much snow you guys have up there. in the areas that you're in. I'm in North Carolina, guys, so down here we don't, it's very rare that we ever get snow down here. And as a matter of fact, I remember on my first year here, uh, it was so nice during Christmas Day. It was 71 degrees down here. Absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love it. There's one time that this was kind of like right around my first, or I think it was my, no, it wasn't my first winter here. It was my second or third. I think it was my third winter here. It was so nice one day. It was like 65 degrees. I was just basically walked out, short sleeve shirt, didn't think nothing of it. And later on that evening, the temperature dropped to 18 degrees. The next morning, I went out. I literally crossed a 2-lane highway. The highway that I was crossing was 2 lanes one way, 2 lanes the other way. But it was right at a 4-way intersection. By the time I got back to where I was going, I was shivering uncontrollably. So what I did was when I got back to where I had a tent set up, I grabbed one of my blankets, set that off to the side. I grabbed my leather jacket, threw that on, zipped that up, grabbed my blankets, wrapped myself up nice and tight, and just kind of laid back just to allow myself to warm up. If you're if the outside of your body's cold, you definitely want to keep your core temperature up too, guys, because this is excruciatingly vital. Because it's not the outside, it's not just the freezing of it's not the coolness of your skin that's keeping you from getting sick. It's your core temperature. So your body's temperature should be 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. Anything less than that, you can actually develop hypothermia. And you don't even have to be in water to get hypothermia. You can get that just by letting your body core temperature drop below what I just mentioned. So the only thing, like I said, the only thing that saved me was that blanket and my leather jacket and my blanket. I zipped my tent up because I had my cover over the top of it. I had a 2-man tent at the time, and I just laid there, didn't move. I let my core temperature regulate the regular temperature that it is, and then the outer part, I just let that warm up. And as soon as I was regulated at just the right temperature, as soon as I let that, as soon as I let my body warm up, I was up, out, and about, just moving around. But that's the only thing that saved me because I knew exactly what to do. And if you guys are out and about and you're camping, always make sure that you have extra clothing with you, especially in the middle of wintertime. Because if not, more than likely, if it drops down below 20 degrees, you could be in serious trouble. So that could actually very well cause potential issues to your health and so forth. So always keep that in mind, guys. Always make sure that you bundle up, no matter if it's like 60 something degrees. Always make sure that you have something with you. So if the temperatures does drop, put whatever type of thermal some whatever type of clothing it is, whether it be a long sleeve shirt, hoodie, whatever the case may be. If you have a leather jacket, that's probably even better. Put something on under that and then put your leather jacket on. Or if you have something if you got like a hoodie, fantastic. Make sure that you always have that covered. Make sure that you keep your head covered too, because you lose about 56% of body heat to your head. That is a proven fact. And for those of you who just missed what I said, you lose exactly 56% of body heat to your head, the top of your head, because heat rises. Okay. So always keep that in mind. Make sure that you have your head covered, your hands, make sure that you have those covered. If you don't have gloves, pull your hands up into your sleeves and just kind of keep your fists balled like you're getting ready to box with somebody. That right there will regulate the temperature and also keep your hands warm too. So the outside of your hands and the inside of your hands. So if you don't have gloves, pull your hands up into your sleeves. That will prevent you from getting frostbite. And how I know this is because I've done this several times before. So just to let you guys know, I basically caught myself at the point where I was shaking profusely, uncontrollably. That's how I knew that my body's core temperature was starting to drop. So anytime that you start to shake, anytime your hands start to shake or your body starts to shake, that's because you're bringing your heart rate up to keep your body's core temperature stable. If your body's core temperature drops, that could lead to hypothermia, or depending on if you're like really high up, like in the mountains or something like that, you could also develop what they call pulmonary edema. Okay. And what pulmonary edema is the higher up you climb, the less oxygen you have. Your heart is actually pumping a lot harder to push the blood through your system. You're pushing that blood through your body, keeping circulating. So if your oxygen level is low and you're like pretty high up, what that does is you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain. So what that does is that makes your blood thicker. That can also lead to heart attacks and strokes because it's constant inflammation of your arteries because you're not letting because you're not getting the proper oxygen that your brain is requiring to stay fully functional. Mount Everest, for example. Actually, no. Mount Everest is a prime example. There's been several people that's made it up but never made it back down. And so when you're climbing up a hill, you always want to set a pace. You don't want to try to outdo everybody. You don't want to just try to be like, oh, okay, this is a hill. I'm going to try to do this like a track and field. No. And what I mean by pacing yourself is you want to take it nice and slow because if you start to run and you start inhaling, exhaling, you can cause your lungs to potentially collapse. And if your lungs collapse, you're in deep shit. So always make sure if you're climbing up a hill, maintain a steady pace. Don't try to run. Just when you're walking, stick with the same pace that you're going up the hill from when you first start, because the higher up you get, the lower the oxygen level gets. Okay, so you don't want to catch yourself breathing too hard, because yeah, you can do a lot of more damage, because then you start to hyperventilate, and then when you start to hyperventilate, it leads to more serious potential issues that could lead to long-term effects on your health. So always look at your health first. Exactly. So if you guys ever plan on making any type of trips or anything like that, like say for instance, if you take a trip to Mount Everest, make sure that people in front of you are within eyesight. And I'll tell you the reason why. You want to stay as close as you can to those other people, because one wrong turn, there's about an 8,000-foot drop. Yes, I will say that again, guys. If you climb up Mount Everest and you take the trail up there and somehow you get misplaced and you make the wrong turn, especially when there's a major snowstorm getting ready to hit with wind gusts and the likes of probably what you've never seen before, one wrong step can actually plummet you 8,000 feet down. It's not that okay, and also this is also for educational purposes only. Due to the graphic content of this nature, viewer discretion is advised. Okay, so I'm basically going to tell you that I'm basically going to say at one time, it's not the fall that will actually kill a person, it's that sudden stop. And when you drop 8,000 feet, that'll send you right to your maker. So if you see a crowd of people in front of you moving, move with that crowd, because usually the guy in the very front is a tour guide. There are tents that are set up. So if a storm hits, you guys can go in those tents. That gives you a chance to warm up. And always make sure that you breathe nice and slow. Make sure that not nice and slow, but make sure that you maintain your breathing. Because if you try to overexert yourself and you're about, I don't know, about 27 to 28,000 feet up, nobody's going to come save you, because for one, they're not going to send a chopper out to get you at that high of altitude, because for one, they're not designed for that. So always make sure that you maintain a very steady pace, and try not to get too ahead of the competition here, guys. That's basically what I'm telling you. So if you ever take a trip to Mount Everest, if those of you who actually can afford to climb Mount Everest, keep this in mind. Always maintain a steady pace. Always make sure that you have the proper insulation to stay warm, because they do have tents up there that are set up that are designed for high winds and stuff like that. And there's like an aluminum extension ladder laid across one of the openings. They put that there so you can actually cross over the gap in between there. A couple people fell in. They were too high up. they couldn't be rescued. So if you guys ever think about taking a trip to Mount Everest and you decided to climb that, they're going to have you sign a waiver before you even start the guided tour up. Because if anything happens, they're not accountable, because you're basically doing that at your own risk. And that's basically what they're trying to tell you. And to climb Mount Everest, they charge at least $40,000 for that trip up. So you're climbing well above 28,000 feet. That's probably approximately right around 3.5 miles away. 42,000 feet in altitude, that's 7 miles from the ground up. So if you look up and you see a plane flying very high, that's at their altitude is at 42,000 feet. So when a plane actually goes into the airport, when it gets down to like 1,000 feet, there's minimums. They have to abide by those minimums to be able to bring that plane directly onto the runway successfully. So I'm not a pilot or anything like that, but I do know some people that are pilots. Matter of fact, I've actually spoken to a flight captain. So always, if you take a trip like that, guys, just remember what I said, and everything that I'm telling you guys, you don't want to take anything that I'm saying for granted, because what I'm telling you could in fact save your life. Because if anybody were to take that trip up there and they defied everything that I said, they'd find themselves in a very big shitstorm. Because there has been people that actually have fallen into big openings at a very high altitude. Some people, like I said, some people were not even able to be rescued. You could only stand out there for so long. And the higher up you get, the thinner the less oxygen you're going to have. So if you're going to do something like that, always make sure that your health is in tip-top shape. And if you go to see a doctor or something and they have you do like an annual physical, and that doctor says, I don't think that this would be a wise idea, it's best that you not do. It's probably best that you take his advice, because that could lead to some very potential serious issues. So always keep that in mind, guys. Pulmonary edema is not a joke. Because like I said before, I'll say it again, pulmonary edema can lead to two things: heart attacks and strokes. And if you're 28,000 feet up and if you're 28,000 feet up off the ground, they're not going to send a helicopter to you, because they can only fly so high. Especially With the altitude that high, there's a lot of instability with the wind change. The wind could shift from one direction, it could shift off to the next direction, and if you're not careful and you lose your footing, you're in deep trouble. So more than likely what they do is they have people hold on to a rope. They have certain like they have like they got this they got a rope that's probably about this thick. Everybody holds on to it while they're climbing. So then therefore they know when this person's what direction this person's going or what direction that person's going. Everybody stays together. They try to explain everything to you before you even take that trip up. I do believe that they might possibly have some on-site doctors there, but if not, they do have medical airback. But if you're so high up, they're going to have to bring you down gradually. But this is something you can't just do something like this overnight. This is basically a work in progress. You got to build yourself up to it. You got to build yourself up to it mentally and physically. But there's always this one thing. Some people say, "Oh, it's mind over matter." Okay, I get it. Just because people say it's mind over matter, that's not always the necessary case. They say, oh, if you put your mind to it, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But then again, look at it from this perspective. People always contradict themselves when they say there's always two sides to every coin. What about that little thin side that's still left unaccounted for? That should compensate for something. And what I mean by that thin side, there's always that fine line in the middle that most people discredit. So always take into consideration of any type of moves before always take always take the proper necessary steps needed to be guided up and to be guided down safely and securely. So I've never climbed Mount Everest, and I think it would be pretty interesting though. But I think let me show you I'll show you guys exactly just how high Mount Everest is. Hang on just a second, guys. This is how high Mount Everest is, 29,032 feet. That's just estimated. So that's almost approximately right around little over half of 42,000 feet, just shy of 42,000 feet. Okay. So if you guys ever decide to go up there and climb Mount Everest, always pay attention to the person, the instructor who's taking you guys up there, because the people who's actually climbed Mount Everest that are instructors, they have been doing this for a very, very, very long time. Okay. But anyway, back to what I was saying about camping. Always make sure that you keep your body's core temperature stable. That is a key factor. So, do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you would like to add to this topic while I'm still on it? If so, let me know in the chats. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that last comment to the top of the chats as well. So, hang on just a second. Should be popping up now. There we go. Always keep your hands and feet warm and try to keep your body's core temperature stable. There's a place somewhere in Russia. There's a small town. If you shut your vehicle off, the fuel in your car will actually turn your fuel inside your car will actually turn into slush. You're absolutely welcome. And this place in Russia that I'm talking about, the coldest temperature that it ever gets there is negative 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Negative 90. So if your car breaks down, if your car breaks down, you're in trouble. They leave their cars running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As a matter of fact, it's so cold up there, guys, that most people won't even go up there. I mean, that's pretty bad. So always keep in mind, your body core temperature is the most vital part of your body, because that's where all your vital internal organs are. You got your heart, your liver, your lungs, so forth. You want to keep those. You want to keep your body's core temperature 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. So, but anyway, I digress. So, do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you would like to add to that? If so, let me know in the chats. I'm going to readjust my mic here for a minute, guys. Corn chips. And just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up on pulmonary edema, if somebody actually does get that type of, if somebody actually does get that, it is irreversible. So just kind of keep that in mind. So, but if you do happen to take a trip up there, make sure that you have on like 2 to 3 pairs of socks. Put them right up. So make sure that you have plenty of insulation between your feet and your boots or whatever it is you're wearing. Like I said, if your hands start getting cold, ball your fist, pull your hands up into your sleeves, and your body will start producing that heat. Your body will constantly generate that heat to keep your hands warm. Just keep your hands balled up inside your sleeve. So then therefore your hands don't freeze. And one more thing, guys. Here's always something to look out for too. Now, if the person's hands are red and it's really cold out and their hands are red, that's a premature stage of the beginning stages of frostbite. So if you ever happen to see somebody, if you want to be able to determine how a person is actually getting frostbite, their skin will start to turn gray. Now, if their skin starts to turn black, then yeah, that's that's not good. That's not good at all. Because frostbite can also lead to amputation, for those of you who don't know. But there is a way to treat frostbite symptoms. So I'm going to show you guys some images what frostbite looks like. Okay. Hang on a second. That's frostbite. That's a mild case of it. See how the skin looks like it's starting to turn gray in certain spots? That's just the mild part of it, guys. Now here's the worst part of it. This is not only just for educational purposes, this is also from someone who has actually almost come close, well, not actually come close to getting it. I've always prevented myself from getting it. Now you guys have actually seen you guys have actually seen mild cases to the worst case of frostbite. And when your hands start to look like this, that's where they amputate. Because when your fingers in your hands start to look like this right here, everything is dead. You don't feel nothing. You just basically killed every nerve, and you just killed every single nerve ending in your hand. And just to let you guys know, frostbite is not a joke. So if you ever see somebody's hands start to turn before they start looking like this right here, now I'm going to tell you guys exactly how to go about bringing your temperature in your hand back up to prevent nerve damage. Go inside and you want to run cold water. Put your hands under the cold water and then slowly start to add the warm water. You turn that warm water on slow. You turn it on too fast, you're going to damage every nerve inside of your hand or your feet. Just gradually turn on your warm water, nice and slow. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going to be a pleasant feeling. Your hands are going to feel like they're on fire. But as soon as you start turning that warm water on, slowly but surely, you'll notice that your hands will start to warm up, and that fiery feeling in your hands will start to dissipate, and gradually the fire in your hands feeling like they're on fire will slowly start to reverse. So once it starts to slowly reverse and you're able to keep your hands under warm water, you don't want to turn the hot water on, just lukewarm. Nothing more than lukewarm. Because when you do that, that's how you can basically it's basically how you can avoid nerve damage. Because in your hands, from here on up to the tip of your middle finger, covering your whole entire hand, you have nerve endings all through here. So, like I said, that fiery feeling will start to slowly disappear. It'll start to slowly go away. Once it goes away, and you're able to withstand the warmth of that water, turn your hands over. Do the same with that side too. Or just fill the sink up and just put your hands right there in the water. So when you do that, you won't, in fact, get long-term nerve damage in your hands. The same goes with your feet. So, like I said, guys, hopefully this content right here does in fact help you. If you guys, like I said, if you guys are out camping and stuff, and it's very, very, very beyond chilling, you're absolutely welcome, sis. So, That's basically the way to, that's the simple basic way to reverse the stages of frostbite. You don't want your hands to turn the color of a watch band. That's not good. That leads to amputation. If your hands are red, they start to turn gray, and your hands feel like they're on fire and you can't grab a door to turn the handle, plug the sink, turn the cold water on. Let it fill up to about 3.5 inches. Put your hands in there and let your hands sit in there. Keep your fingers straight. So therefore, when your hand starts to warm up, you'll actually get your circulation back in your hands. And everything that's going on will basically stop and start to reverse. And then your hands start to warm up, dry your hands off. And just put your hands right in your pocket because your body heat. It's like it never happened. So, like I said before, guys, always take everything that I'm saying into consideration. Always think about the outcomes. Because if you see the worst, what you just saw right there, where this guy's fingertips were all, where his fingers just turned like complete black and complete blackness, you don't want that. Because when you get frostbite, and that because when you get this, because when your hands are that far frostbitten, one thing that can lead to, that's gangrene. And I guarantee you guys don't want that. So this is a little bit of the survival tip for you guys. So hopefully, like I said, you guys learned something from this. So if you guys, like I said, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that I mentioned here on the live stream, let me know in the chats. And if you guys do have questions, I will gladly answer them the best way I can. So basically, the steps that I'm giving you guys is I'm basically giving you the knowledge to know how to treat those type of symptoms and keep those from, to keep your fingers from turning. Yeah. Because you don't want to just put hot water in there and just submerge your hands in hot water. No. Uh-uh. You'll do more damage, because you'll do more damage than good that way. Always turn on your cold water. Submerge your hands in that water. Let your hands sit there until that fiery feeling in your hands go away. And once that goes away, drain that water. Dry your hands. Dry them really good. And always, try to put your hands in your pockets. So then, therefore, that won't cause serious nerve damage. Because not only you have nerves in your hand as well, but you also have important thing. You also have a lot of nerve endings. You got blood vessels in your hands too. And if you try to warm your hands up too quick, you could probably rupture some of those blood vessels. So always keep in mind, always take that in consideration. Always think ahead before you take the trip. If you got a weather radar, if you got some type of weather radar app in your phone, check that before you go to that destination. So therefore, that will give you an indication of how to properly dress yourself. Therefore, not dress yourself, but therefore that gives you an indication of how to dress before you get directly to that location. So that right there will actually help you avoid all that all in one shot. So what you guys do from there, if you guys do in fact happen to want to take that trip, just be sure you know what you're getting yourself into before you get up there. Because one minute, if you're getting right up towards the peak of Mount Everest, that weather can change within a snap of a finger. And there could be something known as a complete whiteout, meaning you're not going to be able to see going all the way up. So you're basically going to have to seek refuge in a tent until that storm has passed. Once you see the sky, once you start to see the clouds separate, and you see sunshine coming through, and it's all clear, no fog, no nothing, then they will let you know when you can begin to finish that trip up. And then you'll start to slowly make your descend going down the same way that you came up. But like I said, one wrong move, that's an 8,000-foot drop. Or you can pretty much fall between the cracks of an open canyon. So always be sure to maintain your safety. Always be sure to check on others that are in front of you. Be sure to, well, you're going to be looking at everybody in front of you anyways. Always look back and make sure that everybody is accounted for. You never want to leave a person down like that. Because in that case there, it's a life or death situation. Same thing with just being on the very ground you're walking on. But when you're going up a mountain, that's a horse of a different color. That's a totally different ballpark. So always always be fruitful of the thought. Always always keep your eyes 12 o'clock, always check your six. So if somebody falls, you can go back, you can probably go back up, you can probably help them up, or somebody in the back will probably help that person up. But Mount Everest is pretty nasty. Don't get me wrong, it has its perks. But the temperature, oh, no, 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 no. But if you do have a tent, make sure that you have it regulated temperature wise. Make sure that it's nice and warm and cozy on the inside. And just think about it this way. If you see somebody fall and you actually help them up, there's a good possibility You and that person, by you helping that person there, they could be your best friend. And the thing is, you may never know it. Always go back and check on the person, make sure they're okay. And when you guys get back to when you get back to ground zero, it's all good. I think what they'll probably do is when you get back to ground zero, they'll probably check you just to make sure that you're okay. But they do have checkpoints all the way up to the very top. So every time you stop at those little tents there, those are checkpoints. But other than that, it's fun, but it's also deadly. And a lot of those guys that do actually go up there, the ones that are your tour guides up and tour guides down, those people know those areas very well. Just a little FYI there for you guys. So again, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the chats. And I will do my best to answer your guys' questions the best way I can. The sugar tester, as cold as it gets up there at Mount Everest, those batteries wouldn't even last 3 seconds in the sugar tester. So about the time you put those batteries in, those batteries are dead. What you're going to need, what you're going to want to take up there is a blanket and a couple other miscellaneous items. Blankets, first aid kit, and some other things. Be sure that you pack some food with you too, but pack light. But just to let you guys know, if you do make it about halfway up, it's probably going to take you at least a day or two to get to the top. If you guys are doing just hiking off in segments, they're not just going to just start you from the bottom and hike you all the way up to the very top without stopping. No, you got to have checkpoints. You got to have those resting areas to where you can just kick back and recuperate. Because the higher up you go, like I said, the less oxygen you're going to have. This is not just like walking. It's not just going to be like walking over a 5-foot hill. We're talking about something that's a little over 3.5 miles high. And taking a cell phone up there to the very top, forget it. You're not going to have no signal. Matter of fact, you're not even going to be able to make a phone call or gain access to the internet from that high up unless your phone is connected to a satellite. And even if you do take a phone up there, That phone will be dead by the time you get to the top. Because how cold it is. I mean, think about it. You're walking up a mountain, sis. And some places on that hill, that's probably at a staggering 45 degree angle. You're pretty much going around that mountain. But some spots is like 45 degrees. So 45 would be like this. And you're walking up probably at least 28, probably about 20 to about 28,000 feet. Mount Everest is 29,032 feet. And sometimes you have some very narrow paths. And if you get your footing wrong when you're walking up there, you better know right where you're stepping. Because one wrong step, that mountain will swallow you whole. You could take a jar, or you could take some water, and about the time you poured it out, it would freeze. It would basically come down to about here. It would freeze. It would go out at least about an inch, and it would freeze solid. And if you have a thermos and you got it filled with water, that glass liner on the inside, that's going to break. That's going to shatter. So the only water that you'll probably get up there is the water that they scrape off the side of the mountain. But they boil it. That's about the only water you're probably going to get that's going to heat up. They got torpedo heaters in there too that'll that'll blow heat through. Or they'll have their little propane tanks. So that's pretty much how they're going to heat up the water. They'll heat up the snow, they'll boil it down, and they'll just keep it nice and warm. With the tents being thermal insulated, that'll prevent any type of water in the inside of that tent to turn back into a solid structure. But if that water freezes, it's going to turn into ice. But if you're climbing up a hill and you're right at a checkpoint, They'll let you know when to stop, because when they look up at the top of that mountain, they'll let you know something. They could just look up and eyeball it, and that's how you know. No, we're not going no further. This is not safe. And truthfully, it's not. The higher you go up, the steeper that hill becomes. Because a lot of it kind of comes up like this gradually, but then when it gets up to the very top, it gets like very steep. But there's like this little flat. There's this flat part of the top of the mountain that's called the peak. There's a certain spot of the peak that's flat. I mean, you could walk around it. You can probably walk 10, 15 feet all around, all different directions, 10, 15 feet around. But one certain spot, they'll tell you what path to stay on and what path not to get on. Because if you take the wrong turn, it's a said and done deal. It's game over. So, and a lot of these tour guides are also trained in the medical field. They have to be. Because a lot of these guys they're certified to use a defibrillator and stuff like that, but that high of altitude up, they'll have to bring it down slowly. Because another thing too, one thing I did not mention, if you're not used to climbing that specific altitude, the air could be so thin that you could probably pass out because of lack of oxygen. You got to build yourself up to doing something like that, though. You just, like I said, it's just not going to happen overnight. There's been people that's got disoriented from it. They had literally had to bring them down. They got them to a certain altitude, and they called for medevac. So when they got to an extraction point, they got them to a safe point. They got helo up in the air and extraction. Helo is basically okay. In case you don't know what helo is a term that's used in the United States Marine Corps for helicopter. So helo is basically short and abbreviated. So they're not going to say we're going to need helo up here to the extraction point. They're just going to say we need medevac up here to the extraction point. We're coming down. We need to get this person off of here. After that tour is over for them. There's a video, or not a video. I do believe there's a TV series. It's called Climbing Mount Everest. You guys can also find that video on YouTube as well. Not sure if you're going to be able to find the full version of it, but if you do happen to find it on YouTube, let me know. Just let me know in the comments. Just haven't been. I've been checking my comments lately. Nobody sent me any comments just recently. Probably for I don't know. Probably for the past at least a month or so. But if you guys happen to find that video, if you guys do find a series on that, let me know. And they'll pretty much tell you everything that you need to know. if you ever do have that kind of money to spend 40 grand just to climb Mount Everest, let me know if you guys ever do decide to do this. Before you climb that mountain, they will legally have you sign a waiver. So if something happens to you, they're not at fault. But if anybody does plan on climbing Mount Everest, I do wish them the best. I do wish the best for them, and I hope that they make it up and make it down safely, safe and sound. So, so anyway, guys, this is pretty much all I have for today on live stream. I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap this up a little early, but I'll probably stay on for a few minutes longer. But other than that, I'm probably going to have to start wrapping it up here soon, guys. So always take into consideration of what I just mentioned here on the live stream, guys. So this is not only for your health, this is also for your safety. So if you guys ever do decide to make the trip up there and you do decide to climb Mount Everest, try to get yourself in a physical condition before you go up there. And what they're going to do is they're probably going to run you through. They're probably going to do a medical examination on you before you go up there, because they do have highly qualified EMTs there. And a lot of these guys are, in fact, EMT certified. So always thank you, sis. I greatly do appreciate the kind words here. I greatly do appreciate that. Thank you. Um, and as a matter of fact, always keep in mind what I told you, because I'm just relaying. I'm just basically showing, not only telling you this for your own safety, but I'm also showing you certain things that you will probably need to know. This is on a need to know basis. So if you guys ever do decide to, like I said, make that trip up there, and you guys do decide to climb it, make sure that your health is in good. Make sure that you're in good health, and make sure that everything goes accordingly, because they try to make it as smooth as possible. And sometimes that weather, well, not sometimes, but that weather is so unpredictable. It could be a clear, beautiful day, and within the snap of a finger, bam, you're stuck in a full out weather up there on Mount Everest is vicious. So just keep in mind what I told you guys. Always take into consideration of everything that I've mentioned to you guys here on the channel. So if you guys happen to see something like that happening, always make sure that you stick together. Make sure that you guys help one another. Make sure that you get to, and make sure that your descend down goes smoothly too. So when you got enough slack on that rope that you guys are holding on, they'll have you hold on to the rope on the way up, and they'll probably have you hold on to the rope until they deem that it's safe. Because when you get to a safe area, then they'll let you know, hey guys, you can go ahead and let go of the rope. Let's go ahead and roll it up, and they'll just put that on their pack. Because obvious reasons, but like I said, Mount Everest, it may seem fun, but it's also very, very, very extremely dangerous. There's been several people that went up that mountain that never made it back down to the bottom. But if you do take that trip, safe travels, and be safe as always. But anyway, guys, it is a couple minutes past my due time. So I want to thank you guys for coming to hang out with me tonight here on the channel. And for those of you who are new and haven't yet got a chance to subscribe for more content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on your bell notifications. So therefore, you'll always stay up to date with every bit of news that I submit to the channel. So for those of you who are actually viewing my my live streams, I definitely want to give you guys a big shout out as well for all my subscribers, new subscribers to my oldest subscribers. This shout out's for you, and not to worry, I'm not going to shout too loud because there's possible. It's likely possible that people may have sensitive ears. So again, guys, I want to thank you all for coming to hang out, and as always, stay safe, stay sharp, stay frosty, and stay vigilant. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. I'll give you a call here in just a moment, sis. All right. Oh, I will be live streaming again Saturday from 8 o'clock p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you who don't know, I live stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 8 o'clock p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Oh my God, I can't believe I got that right. But then again, it is what it is. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming to hang out tonight. And as always, stay sharp. No, stay safe, stay frosty, stay sharp, stay vigilant. Until next time, thanks for watching. Huge shout out to all my subscribers and everybody who's viewing my channel. Huge shout out to you as well. But anyway, I will be live again Saturday, same time, same place. Catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks for watching. Peace and love. I'm out.